my initial questions were regarding the ability of people who are under 18 years old to start their own bank accounts without an adult, as well as get credit cards, because I think part of this program was about getting a credit card and using credit cards. So is there a way to do this without using an adult as either a co-signer or a backup? Have you checked with banks to find out what the requirements and the restrictions are in terms of 14, 15, 16-year-olds getting bank accounts and getting credit cards?
Right, and that's a great question. It's definitely a huge concern that we had building this platform, right? We're going to be really walking a line of just ethical standards too. You know, we want to make sure that we are serving our users in the best way possible, and they're benefiting it from the most. In terms of getting around with the younger end of high school students, we can provide the knowledge to them, but then on the banking side, most people have to be over 16 to open an account. So we can start building the knowledge. But in terms of when you start to get your first job, that's when we're really trying to emphasize that at a young age and get the kids on board. And then you get the multiplier effect as well, where the parents start learning the same knowledge. But they, instead of, as Amy was bringing up, instead of spending that, cashing and spending that first paycheck, they'll be taught to save the money and invest. And I know I still use the same bank account that I opened up when I was either 15 or 16 years old. So for financial institutions, the age might be worth the sacrifice in terms of the immediate revenue that they would get.
Was there some discussion in your materials about use of credit cards as well?
Yeah, it's centered around building credit. So the idea of building credit and just explaining what a secured credit card is, definitely that's a ethical line to walk. And I think that's why it's important to more educate students at the young age, not necessarily get them to sign up for a credit card, and also to educate them how a secured card can be different, much more similar to a debit card instead of a credit card.
Right. If I could elaborate a little bit on that, it's kind of more of a mindset shift to embed that in a little bit younger. And like Craig said, that we want to save versus just spending everything. So that way we can have the funds to start with the secure card. Like if you're working and you're saving, if we're not of age yet, when you are, you can fund that with your own money and get your credit really going and understand the importance of what credit is and the power it can have long term for you as an adult. You know, as a security net, everyone should have credit. It's not something that's, you know, just used for bigger purchases or things like that. It really is more of a security.
Have you communicated with specific schools or school systems and school departments to find out how this would work with their curriculum and how realistic it would be to get your programs into the schools?
So Amy and I, to give a little backstory, Amy and I in the fall came up with this idea centered specifically for the financial institution of DCU. We won the competition in the fall, the difference maker competition in the fall, because DCU really liked our idea. So we did have a bit of validation from a financial institution that they would be interested in our product. Then this semester, we took the time to really develop our website prototype. We gained, Nicole is really knowledgeable in social media marketing. And then we have Williams and Gabriel, there are web developers at the moment. So we were really focused on building our website development. In the future, that's definitely going to be our next priority, is starting to build the relationships with school faculty. So not yet, but that is really close to our next step in building this.
Will DCU sort of, were they interested in partnering with you so that they could almost act as a sponsor in a sense, so that you can use their resources and their connections in order to link you up with potential customers and school districts?
That would be a really good next step. And that's a great question too. I don't want to overemphasize, we won the competition and I made great connections within DCU. So I believe the potential is there, but it wasn't reached that stage yet. But we did get validation. They did really like our idea, and they were a financial institution that I would turn to for that exact reason.
Right. And again, from that, like Craig was saying, it has evolved a little bit. When we first pitched this, it was more of a marketing tool for them. And now it's become more of a standalone in the actual liaison between the institution and closing that gap with the actual target market that we're looking to service at that point and build the relationship with.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
Okay, I've got a couple. What kind of time sink are you asking for your customers? What kind of time investment are you asking?
I think it's more of like a self-paced type of platform that you pick up and, work at your own pace and set goals for yourself. Again, we want it to be something that they can incorporate into their lifestyle and have the want to, learn these things and see the value in it.
I would highlight that.
Okay.
I would, because you do a good job of saying what and the tiered approach, but the how would be, so how do I do that? I also think if you had the opportunity, do you have a case study? Because nothing would attract people more than a case study that here's what we got. And are you thinking about and potentially tying it to a credit score? So by doing these things, you will get a better credit score as a benefit.
Right. The long-term overall of the platform is financial freedom and being able to have money to actually invest. That's what the 4 year is. So yeah, we want to educate on the fact that your credit score is going to reflect, your long-term loans and interest, and actually have money to play with in your pocket to invest versus the daily struggle of most that we're living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
So that real disconnect is, if we understand at that younger age, put away 10 or 20 for a rainy day.
Right.
The little bit goes a long way.
Yep. I would emphasize that as well, because it's financial freedom plus financial health.
Right.
So I think that's another good message to add to your value prop. That's it. Oh, and actually one other thing. I wasn't 100% clear how you're going to capture customers.
That's where we plan to leverage the educational systems and kind of almost use that as like our marketing tool to get into places to the customers that we essentially want to connect with the financial institutions.
Right. AKA you're using them as a channel.
Correct. Exactly.
Cool. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Paul Makers here. Amy and team, first off, I want to thank you all. Great presentation. Have you considered other currencies such as Bitcoin and others in this whole presentation of yours? Because as you know, there's a lot of that going that way. That's my first question.
We didn't really take it that direction per se, but again, with going with the concept that your credit score and everything is going to tie into that virtual world of money, it all, is going to stem from the algorithms of what's needed to get approved and at what interest rate and all of that. So it really does stem back to the basics of understanding, what an asset to a liability is and what benefits you and what doesn't. Pretty much just the basics that people really don't understand or aren't exposed to, sadly.
Okay. The other question, which this is really about the idea, so it's fantastic what you doing this for the younger generation to really start looking at their financials and at an early age. Question to you is, how do you expect to get paid?
Most of our money would be generated from the financial institutions, where they're going to be making more per member. The last year when we did this, it was like $300 or something a banking institution makes per member for the entire year. So they don't have a really big spread on their members. So if we can capitalize and get more of the members that they even have into more than a checking and a savings and implementing the other loans and credit cards and all of that stuff, they're just going to have a bigger return. And again, if you're building that relationship and spreading the knowledge, what that's going to do in terms of word of mouth and building that relation, even. I know I've personally been with DCU for over 18 years at this point. And I that was kind of I did have a connection to them when I started this project. I can't deny that. I've been a huge advocate for DCU. I've, rambled on to Craig
Hey,
about
guys,
them.
time's up.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you guys.
Just closing out, anything you can do to help educate people on life skills earlier, the better. I love it. Thank you.
John, I agree.
Yeah, the concept is really, it's a great idea. It's clearly needed.
Thank you guys. Definitely appreciate all the feedback.
All right,
Okay.
thanks, Kevin, for being the bad cop.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so thank you for a great presentation. We do ask that you leave the room so our judges can work on this cause. Nice
All
job,
right.
everyone.
Hopefully
All
see you
right,
guys next
great
week. Have a
job.
good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good
Bye
luck,
now.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.